Good afternoon, vinyl community. This is DJ Reed with another program on the Beatles 1964. In the future, we're going to look at other vinyl other than Beatles per se. I'm thinking in September we're going to look at Paul McCartney and Wings albums in the 1970s. And then in October, I'm going to look at Bruce Cockburn's catalog of 35 albums, plus CDs included, vinyl and CDs. So we're going to look at the Bruce Cockburn. He's a Canadian legend, and we're going to look at his discography of his entire career from 1970 up till the present. This is an album that he did last year called Growing Ignites. That's his latest album, 2019. That was recorded and produced in San Francisco. So it's an instrumental album. Because he's such a great guitarist, all the songs are instrumentals. And I highly recommend this. If you want to hear really good guitar playing, creativity, acoustic, electric, mainly acoustic guitar, this is the album to purchase. It is absolutely amazing. Another album I picked up recently is a Canadian icon. Her name is Crystal Shawanda, and she has a new album out called Church House Blues, and there's some country on it too, but it's mainly blues. Her voice is amazing, quite the singing voice, and she has 10 cuts on this album, and they're all fantastic. Church House Blues is the opening track. Evil Memories, Move Me, Rather Be Alone, and that final song, New Orleans is Sinking, I believe that was written by Gord Downie. At least it's got Gord Downie music on it, and that one, you've got to hear that one. The last track on this album, New Orleans is Sinking, put it on SoundCloud or Spotify or something, or buy the CD like I did, and it is a brilliant album. Also, I got in the mail Flaming Pie, the CD. So it's got the extra tracks on it, and I highly recommend that. If you're a Paul McCartney fan, this is the album to get. It's pretty good, and even the outtakes are excellent. So we're going to look at Bruce Cockburn in October. November, I'm going to be looking at Genesis albums with Phil Collins. And then in December, we're going to look at Paul McCartney's 1980s albums, along with some gospel albums I have and Christmas albums. So it's going to kind of be a mixture of Christmas, gospel, and McCartney in the 1980s. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit there for you viewers. So I hope you enjoy my future programs. I hope it all works out. But for today, we're going to look at some 1964, the Beatles, the early Beatles during Beatlemania. And here's one of the albums. in the early days. It's a famous picture. Something New. This is the album Capitol Records brought out, and because they couldn't get the rights to A Hard Day's Night movie, and that's through United Artists, so they brought out Something New, and these are extra tracks, like Things We Said Today, I'll Cry Instead, Tell Me Why, And I Love Her, Slow Down, Matchbox, and then the German song Come Give Me Her Mine Hand, which is I Want to Hold Your Hand in German. So When I Get Home, Anytime at All, those songs that John Lennon sang, they're very rare tracks, but they're the early Beatles, and it's great. There you see the previous albums. That were released before this album on Capitol Records. So this is basically the third record that Capitol released back then. And it's during Beatlemania days, 1964, when they were #1. Here's a beautiful Capitol Records. This is a 1970s pressing. That's a Canadian pressing. Now, I don't know if that's RCA or Columbia, but because it's got a smaller circle, I'm thinking it's Columbia pressing. The bigger circle was RCA, I believe. So, but it's a beautiful, beautiful record. And then this is the U.S. pressing. Something New. As you can tell, the vinyl is just perfect. Like brand new. And that's on the Apple label. And because it's the Apple label, that was a U.S. pressing. Because back then, in the early cuts, they never did, Canada never did the Apple in the early days, so it was that is a U.S. pressing. Scranton, Pennsylvania. The next one is some of their live programs that they went to Australia in 1964. And you see Ringo is not in this picture. Ringo had tonsillitis. So Jimmy Nicol, right here, is Jimmy Nicol, and he had to take Ringo's place because he was ill. So this particular concert in Australia is with Jimmy Nicol as the drummer. And here's the beautiful record. And it's the early cuts. Beautiful sleeve too. That sleeve. The distributor Rhythm and Blues, they did a lot of see the little circle in the middle. It's just tremendous sleeve they gave. But yeah, during the mid 1964, the Beatles are on tour. As I say, they went to Australia, and here's another Australian tour. This one is in June '64, and this is in Melbourne, Australia. 1964, June 19. the 17th of June to be exact, Festival Hall. And some of the Beatle fans from Australia taking photos of the Beatles. Beatlemania days. There you see some of the songs they sang. Roll Over Beethoven, Long Tall Sally, Till There Was You. I saw her standing there. And they put this in a nice red sleeve on red vinyl. Colored vinyl. DJ Reed loves colored vinyl. And there's the song listing. Big letters, big print, the Beatles. I can't miss that. Australia 64. That's a gem of a record. And of course the Beatles, when they went to Australia, were just loved. They had these interviews. That one, I believe, has an interview on it, and the fans were just enthralled with the Beatlemania back then. And then this one they came back to England, and they did Blackpool, England, and this is famous too. Back in July and August 1st, 1960. I think that's 1964. Well, that's 1965, sorry. Yeah, there's 64 and 65. So this includes 64 and 65. But there's some of the photos. Yeah, there's some 65 in there because it's got Ticket to Ride and Yesterday and Help. So, yeah, this is 64 and 65. But there's the colored vinyl too. It's kind of a marmalade. See the marmalade look? It's almost like clear vinyl, but it's got a bit of orange because the LP was orange, so they did this kind of marmalade look. It's beautiful. And here's some of the songs that were done during the Beatlemania days. Roll Over Beethoven on the 45s. Please, Mr. Postman. On Capitol Records, we have I Feel Fine, one of my favorite 45 singles. John Lennon's I Feel Fine, and then the flip side, Paul McCartney's She's a Woman. As you see, I've kept the record very clean for 1964. And that would be, because there was no Capitol Records in Canada, that's an RCA pressing in Smith Falls, Ontario. And thanks to RCA Victor, the Beatles really sold well. There's an old pressing of Slow Down. It's kind of scuffed up, but the vinyl's still good. It's still clean. Just the label got scuffed up a bit. And my friend gave me that one. That could be my original, actually, that I let him borrow, but he got scuffed up a bit, but the vinyl's perfect. And this one is another original, Slow Down. It's a better copy there. With Matchbox on the flip side. That's Ringo getting the B-side there. And then Long Tall Sally. The great Long Tall Sally. So that's our program today, and I hope you do well, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Bye for now.